One of the things that is going to have to fall in February 2026 are attachment-based stagnant relationships and friendships. You know, it's really weird because we don't realize what an attachment-based relationship is, but attachment is what you hold on to avoid the truth of what you are. And we are being forced to get to the truth of what we are. So the only relationships and friendships that will serve you as you move forward are awesome, expansive, conscious-based relationships that get you closer to the truth of what you are. Another thing that's going to fall apart very quickly in February 2026 is shame. A lot of us light workers are used to holding on to shame because we were the light workers for our parents. We held on to our parents. And in this video, you're going to see a combination of things. You're going to meet my wife, Amber. She and I are going to work together on our relationship and take care of the lies that no longer serve us and move into our expansive selves. And you're going to learn an exercise that can help you release shame instantly. Then you're going to watch a woman, Rebecca, do that. She will do a relationship-based exercise to remove the shame that she held her whole life about her mom in real time. This video is one of our favorite videos we've ever recorded on Infinite Expansion. And if you open your heart, you're going to be shocked at how quickly you can release the shame in your body, how much permission you'll have to let go of what doesn't align, and how to move into a conscious-based, expansive self and support yourself with people that are doing that same work. Enjoy this video as we move into February 2026 and see how many things heal for you in real time in the next hour. Enjoy. February is going to be, since it's Valentine's is in February, it's going to be all relationship content. Whether you're single or in a relationship, we've decided to make February all relationship content. And we want you guys to know that an amazing woman that we work with for our relationship, for birth trauma, for looking at deep things, for looking at different attachment styles, is going to be our guest in 1 week. She's amazing. Her name's Kate Appleton, and she's the real thing, and she holds a very deep space, and she's going to be our guest next week. And that's how we're going to kick off the February. She's going to talk about attachment styles, how different traumas create the attachment styles. And I got to say, she's doing a great job moving me from anxious to secure. And it's a crazy experience because to move to secure is actually death to everything I've been. There is a giddy kid that is here that loves to feel deep connection and passion and all these things. And it's not that secure doesn't have it. It's just that life has been this kind of connected to results and joy and play. And when you get secure, you start to become the present space for yourself. And so she's doing this work, and it's a lot of work, and she brings so much to us, and she will be our guest next week. And the reason I also brought that up is because I want you guys to know that Amber did an exercise today that was just this heart-opening thing and then released a bunch, right? And this was something I want you to just know that I've done before, and it's an amazing exercise to do. And what it is to see if you're in a relationship or just friendships with anyone that you're having a hard time with or anything, when you start to leave your fear and get into their story, their heart, their experience, it's shocking what can happen. And at one point I did some work with Kate today. And while I did, Amber decided to write out what it's like being Kyle. And then she wrote what she would think Kyle should know about her. So she wrote a letter like, my name's Kyle. I feel sometimes like I'm alone. I'm holding up the world. I mean, she really left herself and allowed herself to feel what it felt like to be me. And then she wrote also, because I wasn't there to do it, she said, I want Kyle to know this. And then she said, my wife, Amber, sometimes feels shy to say this or is scared of this thing or hopes this thing. And when I came out, Amber had cried her eyes out, right? Like she had left.
Yeah.
It's so weird when we get into an argument or tension with anyone. The only challenge we're having is we're not in the other person's heart. We don't know what their perspective is. And our problem is always each person wants to be the one that's seen first. I want you to understand me, right? I got to say, the second you go, I want to understand you, life is really going to change. The second you go, I want I want to understand what it's like to be you, even if you feel totally unheard, even if you feel the other person doesn't see you. Can you be a person that goes, I'm going to leave needing to see me for a second, or I'll work on seeing me too, what I want them to see. But I'm going to be in their heart. I'm going to be what it feels like to be them.
Hmm.
And I'll sacrifice my, it could be easy, especially if you're feeling tension with someone. It could be really easy to be like if I was like, "Hi, my name's Amber, and I never want to see Kyle. I don't even care about him." Like it'd be you have to really be like, you know, I'm scared sometimes, or I feel this way, or I don't know if I'm enough, or whatever the thing is that you feel is true, not from a shame or a judgment or a whatever, like it's lonely to be me, or I feel like I'm holding up everything, or I feel sometimes I just want someone to hold me. And these kind of moments really undo the personal child story that says I'm doing this wrong and goes, I just want to know what their perspective is. So it was a real gift for me and Amber to have me do a couple sessions today and then come out, and Amber's like, I just cried my eyes out. And then she, you know what she did? She read to me what she wrote about me, and I cried my eyes out.
We both cried.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
just felt like she really wanted to know, she wanted to know what it felt like to be me.
Hmm.
And she said things that were true, and it was almost as if my tears were right. That's right.
Right.
And it's so amazing to feel heard. And so I promise you, if you're in a relationship and you're struggling, if you and your partner both take time, and sometimes you might not get your partner to do it, you might just be like, I will do it,
Hmm.
right? But when they are heard, they very often might be like, okay, I want to do that with you now,
Yeah.
and allow yourself to leave your I'm not seen
Mhm.
and go, so I will work on understanding them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's really a beautiful exercise. And I think that and the last time we did it, which wasn't all that long ago, or I did it, and I didn't even write it. I just was with you and I stated it and you were crying. And it's just such a beautiful release. And I think that when we're in any heated moment or some misunderstanding, it's so easy for us to be defensive, right? And say, like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
And this is just a beautiful exercise to say, okay, I'm going to step outside of me, get inside of you, your heart, and I'm just going to speak what it must be like. And all of a sudden, the whole world changes. I can see his stress. I can see the pressure. I can see his desire. I can see where I might not be hearing or being the best, most supportive version of myself. It's really an interesting switch.
Yeah.
And once you start it, then it just like opens up, a
Yeah.
whole new portal and it opens up the floodgates and you really get to feel somebody else's heart. And I don't
The
know, it's really beautiful.
yeah, the ego really says I want to win, and the soul says I want to understand. And so there's a weird dismissive sentence that we've all said at different times that really isn't the best sentence we could say. And sometimes that's just the best we got. But we say, I don't understand you. I don't understand you.
Hmm.
Here's an amazing change. I want to understand you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand you like that just means also you're not worth it.
Right.
Right? Like
Right.
I'm not interested in understanding you. But I just want to open the door to
Mm.
like how powerful it is to find a deepening of a connection. And you can have some Johnny depth. That's just to work off of Layla's Amber Heard. Because once Amber Heard, you had some Johnny depth that says like this woman wanted to understand me,
Yeah.
and there's nothing more loving than
Hmm.
saying I want to understand you,
Hmm.
like, and
Yeah.
because I'm now willing to reach, because you're saying in that I'm now willing to reach past my understanding,
Hmm.
right? I now am interested
Yeah.
in going, I want to explore deeper than I'm used to. And I think most of us cap ourselves at our understanding
Hmm.
and go, well, I don't understand you, meaning like you're not worth exploring,
Right.
right? But there's a
Right.
portal right in front of us always
Yeah.
in our other partner or our friends or whoever to
Hmm.
go, I want to understand why you feel what you feel, why you do what you do,
Yeah.
right?
It is like some block or some sabotage of going any further. And I think Laura just was asking about, and this is a great question, and I don't know if this is exactly what you meant, but you asked if there was something we were doing to find that pause or to get that pause. I can't remember exactly how she worded it. And this is something that I myself am working on. And so I wanted to point that question out because I think that's so important is if you're yeah, when you're hijacked in the moment, it can be hard to see. Totally. And Laura and everybody else, this is something that often comes a little bit later in what we would term like the repair in the moment, and we're getting better and better and we're working on it. But in the moment, sometimes that pause doesn't always feel available. And so, this exercise might come a little bit later where we're like, okay, let's pause now and take that breath and go into the other person's heart. If you could do that in the moment, if you could pause and pull yourself together, that would be the most amazing, courageous thing I think anybody could ever do. I haven't quite got there yet.
Oh, yeah, you have. But
In the moment
yeah,
is usually the hardest part for, I mean, is hard for anybody when, because you want to be understood. We all want to be understood so desperately. It's like a survival mechanism that happens. And I think that's kind of what we're, she hasn't figured it out either. You're not alone there. But it's something that we can work on, right? If we want to be vulnerable and we want to be courageous, we can choose that in the moment. And sometimes it feels impossible for me. But it's something that I'm definitely working towards. And I think it would make every single relationship just a million times better if
yeah.
we could just take that pause, take a breath, and realize like what Kate's sharing with us in those moments is we're usually in our wounded child. We're usually in our child. When I want to be understood or if I'm defending, I'm little Amber. I am not adult woman
And
Amber.
I'm her father. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, to
So,
me it seems
yeah.
like I'm like having to defend myself to dad. So we're learning so much and
Yeah.
it's so fun. February is going to be amazing.
Yeah, all of February will be relationship content. And you know what's really, really, really interesting is I really can see something that is so there's all these different attachment styles. There's anxious attachment, there's avoidant attachment, there's disorganized attachment, and
Yep.
there's secure attachment. I am primarily anxious attachment. And in a way that shows up, and there's many ways it shows up, is if we are off, I want to make it work immediately.
Hmm.
I will, and Amber can be both. Amber can both move in and walk out, right?
Hmm.
And so my anxious attachment always will sacrifice whatever I was thinking and go to save the relationship because suddenly what I wanted seen is second to don't abandon me.
Hmm.
So all of a sudden, and this is what anxious attachments do, I'll throw out what I was trying to get to because you abandoning me is the scariest thing. And this made me realize something this morning. And that's that I've only known, and I bet many of you really, if you're honest, could say the same thing, have only known relationships primarily out of attachment, and even connection is out of attachment. In fact, I even literally worked through if you don't have attachment, how are you connected? Meaning, like, as I go into secure and I can be present for myself, I'm suddenly that space. You almost get some glimpses of, and I'm asking it for the answer, but a question of what is the point of a relationship? And that was something I was playing with. And then I started realizing the other option is a relationship that's based out of an expansive connection. So I started realizing, like, I actually was going without attachment, how would the relationship stay together? And you realize that many relationships, I think most relationships, are actually out of attachment. I think many relationships are stagnant, just we've been together a while. We don't need to look at stuff. Maybe we'll just do this. We won't talk about it. We'll just numb out. Let's just overeat. Let's get drunk and just kind of exist. And so when you move to secure attachment, you go, okay, now it's not based on stuckness or attachment, which means the relationship will only thrive on growth. And so if the two people are in a secure attachment place, and that also means that, like, let's say I feel off, if I'm secure attachment, I don't necessarily have to process immediately out loud.
Mm-hmm.
I can get present and the sense of urgency is gone, and there can be a me that's here. And then the trick that the anxious attachment feels like, well, if I'm here for me, then we're not attached. And then the lie that can come up is then we're not connected. And so the question is, so if we're not attached, meaning we're not stuck or in total fear of losing each other, but we're two wholes that are bringing our wholeness to each other, then the relationship is based on expansion and growth. And many speakers, including Tony Robbins, say you either grow or you die with everything. You're either investing your money or you're putting it in a savings account and it's not growing, and inflation happens, so your money's less in a year, right? So it has to grow or it dies. And if a relationship is not based on stuck attachment and the two people are, just unconsciously, stagnantly staying together, then it has to be out of growth.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, the answer that came up was of how do I get connection is that we have to have the courage and bravery to desire to understand what the person feels deeper and deeper every day and what we feel. So if I'm feeling off and Amber really wants to explore what's in my heart and care, then I will feel seen more. And if I feel seen because she did that, I feel more connected to her. But it's not out of stuckness or attachment or fear. It's out of I feel closer and more seen, and I can see myself because she got out of her story and left and sees me. And so I want to do the same with her. I want to explore what she feels. And if she feels triggered by me, not just, only defend myself, but be like, why is she feeling that way? What is she hearing? And maybe she's even right on what's triggering her. This is a very exciting revelation here because this suddenly means that you can have an actual, if both people are interested in doing the work, an expansion based relationship where you go, I literally am able to love myself more because I'm in this relationship. This person can take me to God versus we just stagnantly exist, right? So there's this great David Deida quote, which is there's 3 stages of relationship. The first one is I need someone to be happy. That is total codependency. And that I dance between all 3 of them. I can be like, I need her. She cannot go. Like, please hear me. Then there's I don't need anyone, right? This is the separate, we're 2 independents. There's a lot of people, look how whole I am on my own. I'm independent. That's really cool, but you don't get that your wholeness is still within your own boundaries. And so sometimes you don't get that even though everything feels whole, there's nothing that's actually can show you even better than you have that can take you to an expansive God relationship. So the third one is I'm whole on my own, but I want to know God. I want to be beyond me. I want you to take me farther. And what I do when I do a hot seat or a one-on-one is I reflect actually past, usually, the person's character, right? The person's where they're at, usually the one that's talking in a problem is not the truest you. So my job is to reach past the illusion of the one talking and get into their heart, right? My job is to go, I'm going to take you past this story that you're holding on to and see it. And you start to go, that would be the answer to what would be the point in relationships. That would be a great one. I mean, they're also for having fun and connecting and commitment and growth, but they're also this incredible opportunity to have the person opposite you go, I'm going to reflect to you a freer, more loving, more healed, more expansive version of you. Relationship work is really about your soul's expansion. It really is. And sometimes you cannot always see your truest soul when you're 100% single.
Mm-hmm.
When you're 100% not having other people reflect it. There's people that go, life is so much easier when I don't talk to anyone, when I don't. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because none of your lies are being challenged, none
Mm-hmm.
of your false beliefs are being challenged. And I am on this planet to get to the truth of what I am no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And this relationship is helping me do that.
Yeah.
And your relationship with everyone, friends, coworkers, bosses, whatever, is doing that. And so this work is so important, and it's important in this time so much more than in the past, because I believe in the past, like long before 2012, we really all only associated an I to a bunch of patterns. We really just were whatever the wounds were with mom and dad,
Mm-hmm.
and there wasn't any depth, so it didn't challenge people as much. So there were less divorces the farther you go back, because nothing was challenged. No one was going deeper. Not nobody, but
Right.
less really. Now it's like you have to be in your soul's truth. So relationship work is one of the most important ways to get yourself to your soul. So I'm very excited for you to meet Kate next week
Yeah.
and be open to the idea that all of February, because it's Valentine's month, we're going to do a ton of relationship work both on the Wednesday and Sunday calls. Don't miss any of those. It's
Yeah.
going to be very special.
Yeah.
One of the wounds I want to talk about is shame, and I want to talk about it based on a one-on-one I had recently. I had an amazing one-on-one with a woman, and she is a woman who's awesome. She's very conscious. She's very wide open, beautiful soul. And one of the things she's been through is recently filing for bankruptcy. And she felt shame about that. She felt bad about that. And I started asking her, and just check out this breakdown of what happened. I started saying, what does the shame say? And she said, I should have been more responsible. I should have been, I should not have done that. It should have, whatever it was. And I said, I want to ask you something. Can I talk to the shame? And she said, sure. And I said, shame, what do you feel? And she said, as the shame to the other person, she said, she should have known better. She should have been better at this. And then I said to her, who is this? And she said, mom. And I said, okay. And I said, can I talk to the shame and break it down a little more? So this shame is mom. If you have a shame voice, we're going to start by I'm asking you, who is this voice? The voice that says you should have. It could be you fixing your childhood. It could be a dad. It could be your mom. It could be a sibling. It could be a church. It could be a boss. It could be a teacher. I want you to just ask, who is this voice in me? This is going to be a crazy breakdown. Who is this voice in me that's saying I shouldn't have filed for bankruptcy, or I shouldn't be sick, or I shouldn't, like, really take in who this is? And then I asked her, as the shame, I said, okay, so this is your mom. I said, Mom, why are you bothered that she filed for bankruptcy? And the mom said, because then I failed as a mother. Now, I want you to notice something. The woman, the actual woman who filed for bankruptcy, instead of her being supported by her mom in this scenario, she has to support her mom. In other words, she is the one filing for bankruptcy. She's sad and needs space holding, but the pattern actually in her says after she did something, she has to space hold for someone else. Isn't that interesting? Shame is you space holding for your parents when you need support. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Shame is you space holding for other people, but she who filed for bankruptcy actually needs other people to be there for her. But her mom feels like she failed as a mom. So instead of her feeling I'm sad that I'm filing, or I'm okay with that I'm filing for bankruptcy, whatever. I now have to stop on this moment where I need support and be there for this person. So the breakthrough became her saying to her mom, who actually has passed away, but she's saying it here, you're allowed to fail as a mother. And then she started crying. So I want you to hear what you're holding a lot of times is your parents' shame about you. And you, a lot of times as light workers, have created the job that no one should be there for you and you should be there for them. Right? And meanwhile, when you need space holding, you're still holding them, right? It's almost like you have someone close to you die, and then you're going to be there for other people who are not as close to the person. And it's like you need support. But light workers almost never receive support. And the reason also is because the shame is symbolic of the parent that you keep holding up, right? So if we start to take in, okay, the shame I feel is literally me space holding for my parents or my childhood, right? Okay, now we got to break down why the parent is feeling that way, even if they're not here anymore. This is from your childhood. The parent might not be here or feeling that way anymore, but your body holds the whole thing. So if you instead say, okay, shame, you're not me. The shame in me is mad at me. So you're not me. But here's what's even wilder. The shame is here holding up a false you. In other words, you're acting as a you that can be shamed while you're holding in you an energy that's shaming you. And you think this is you, but this is you, this body now. So you're keeping a little you alive by keeping your connection to your parent alive and their shame. But if you start to realize the voice that's shaming you is the parent, but hear this is the most important part. The reason they're shaming you is not they're this powerful wall of shame. The reason they're shaming you is because they're scared. The second you start to see that shameful, stuck, narcissistic, blocked, alcoholic parent as a scared child, which you really got to take in. One of the things I'm learning from Kate is my parents were my children because I held their space, right? So they were parents in the technical way, but energetically, they were my children. And I loved them, but they were my children, right? I held my dad's pain. I dealt with my dad's pain. I held my mom's shame. I got very good at holding her shame. And then if I do something I don't like, I think I feel the shame that she feels, right? So I'm holding my parents' shame because in a way, if you're a light worker on this planet, your parents are your children, right? Really take that in. They're your children. They're a lower, heavier frequency. And if you get they were a blocked control freak or someone that abandoned you or someone that told you what you need to do all the time, that's because they were scared. They were actually scared of how they would look or that they would be a failure, but they didn't get that deep. So they just sound like a fearful, controlling energy, this tidal wave of shame. You're bad because. And if you start to realize that scary parent was scared, they were scary because they were scared. All of a sudden, you go past their wall of shame and you see the man behind the curtain. I want you to almost see shame as the Wizard of Oz, and what I'm trying to reveal is the man behind the curtain. Remember how powerful through the illusion the Wizard of Oz is? Silence, earthlings, or whatever he said. I don't know what's what. But this powerful, he's got fire. He's got a show. He's the boss. He's in charge. The Wizard of Oz, the great and powerful Oz has spoken. He even needs to say the great and powerful Oz. And then a 2-inch dog opens the curtain and you see an old man running the whole thing. I want you to get that's what your shame is. Your shame is actually the man behind the curtain. And your parents would love to tell you, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain because I come from the past and I built a very powerful protective shame wall so I didn't have to look at my fear. Right. And so I want you to take in the shame is usually a parent, a teacher, something like that, a brother, a sister, a voice, or it was a voice you gave yourself to not disappoint them or be them, right? And so I want you to ask yourself, what, who is the shame in my body, right? And then I want you to ask yourself, where are they scared? Like, why does the shame, like, take that in, like, why does the shame care if I file for bankruptcy? Why does the shame care if I broke up with that person? Why does the shame care if I'm sick? Why does the shame care if I did it wrong? It's because most of them come from an older, more unconscious narcissistic energy that cares about how they look as a parent, that cares about what other people will think of them. And we're just open to doing that work on ourselves. But take in the shame you're feeling is that fear. Your thing reflects bad on them and they're scared of how they look. They're scared of doing it wrong. They're scared. But I want you to really hear there's a power in your shame is just horrified. And it was such a gift for me to be able to say to this client, how do you feel? About that. And there was so much less shame when she just heard that. There was still some stuff there, but we almost don't even know how we feel because we carry this opinion that's not based on fact, that's not even from this time, but that's out of horror. I want you to picture the shame as a scared, horrified little kid. It's so weird to think when I think of my dad and how he wanted to look so good and how, he never had any feelings. And you just think, oh, he had all this stuff together. He was horrified. And if I brought up something really deep or real feelings, he couldn't go there. He was horrified. And if I really, really go deep and I feel in my heart and find my little boy, I can see his little boy. And all of a sudden we go, I'm sorry you're so scared about what I look like or what I'm doing or how much money I have or don't have or what I do wrong. But I'll be okay, right? Because you don't have to hold up any energy that couldn't see you anymore, right? And you'll notice what we do when we have shame is we not only have this with our body, but we will bring people into our lives who match our shame. So you'll find that you also, we were uncovering that even though she filed for bankruptcy, she has friends she's scared to tell because that's the match, right? They'll shame me. And the shame is thinking of them. And it's so weird to think she in her own life is going through her own bankruptcy and she's got a space hold for friends who aren't going through it. And you already see the chaos and the craziness. And light workers very often hold shame and receive no love for hard times, right? And there are things you're going through right now, and you need someone to see you. There are things you're going through, and you don't need to hold up other people when you're going through your hard thing. When you're going through your hard thing, you have a right to say no. You have a right to only surround yourself with people that hear you and make it okay. You have a right. You don't need to hold up other people when you're going through stuff. In fact, you don't need to hold up other people at all anymore. You can be there out of compassion for people in their hard time, but you don't need to hold up other people. But if you're holding shame, you are holding up other people. You're holding up other people that might even be dead, right? You're literally holding up. Life is, I don't know me without shame, because guess what? If I release shame, then I say goodbye to my parents. Do you get what I mean? If I release shame, then I have to say goodbye to my parents. I realized doing this amazing work with Amber this morning, if I let go of anxious attachment and become secure attachment, then that's the final goodbye to my mom who died. It's almost like I stay anxious attachment to feel the same way that I made things work with my mom, right? My mom died 8 years ago now. And if I finally become secure in myself, then I really say goodbye to my mom. And my way of not quite saying goodbye to her and not quite grieving her is to stay anxious attachment because I saw my mom as my best friend, more than friends my age. And I stayed collaborative with her and we worked through everything. And I also had feared she'd abandon me. So I stayed close to her, stayed best friends for her with her, stayed a support for her, might have even held a space without even knowing it of the man she didn't have, where I encouraged her and different things like that. That's not healthy now. So to become secure attachment, I have to really say goodbye. And Amber and I were in a hardware store this morning and I just realized that. And a song came on from the 80s and I said goodbye more to mom to get more present for myself. Right. And so when we actually say goodbye to shame, we actually grieve our childhood and we actually grieve our parents. And a lot of times we're scared to let go of shame because then we are saying goodbye to our parents. And a lot of our parents are held through shame. And so I want to offer you, even though that's painful and scary and hard, it's worth it. It's worth it for the people around you. It's worth it for your health. You don't have to hold their shame to stay connected to them. In fact, if they passed away, you're farther from them by holding their shame. And my offer to you is to really go in and be there for the scared child, the scared kid that they were. And you don't do it to keep being their space holder. You do it to release it from your body and say to the 5-year old version of your mom, I'm so sorry you were so scared. I'm so sorry of all the things you went through. I'm so sorry you were so scared. Don't make them this powerful control freak. Make them a scared child that had to build a wall of control to protect themselves. Then grab your 5-year-old dad, because there was a time my dad wasn't who my dad was, but he put that great and powerful Wizard of Oz wall up. So we never had to see his child. In fact, I remember when my dad's mom died. She actually died recently. She died 2 years before he did. And I said to my dad, have you felt anything? Did you cry about that? And he said, no, I don't do that. I don't cry. I don't do that stuff. And couldn't feel, and he's saying I don't do that like it's a brave thing, but I just see him saying I'm scared of what's inside. And even though he was this very big, angry energy, he was a scared child. And when I see him as a scared child, it's still hard to do because I never saw it. But when I see it, I can release him more. And I can tell this him in here, you can go. And guess what? It goes, and so does some of the shame. And so does some of the trauma I held to stay connected to him. And when I say to my mom, I'm sorry for what you went through, and I'm sorry you were so scared, and I'm sorry you were so lonely, and I'm sorry you were so lost, I love you. She can go suddenly, right? Mom can go. And you start to just go, wow, like, I love you, mom. You can go. You can really go. Thank you so much. And you go here and you cry her out. And guess what? If she goes there, so does the shame. And then you start to realize you don't have to hold shame. It's theirs. And they're done holding it too. Or maybe they still do, but you don't need to hold shame to stay connected to your family. You don't need to hold shame to stay connected to your childhood. You are now the light and you're doing this kind of work. It's time for you to open your heart and say thank you to them. Thank you so much. I thank you for being so scared. I love you. I'm sorry that you're so scared of how you look. I'm sorry for all the things you went through. I'm sorry that you're scared of people not liking you. I'm sorry that whatever, you were abused yourself, or you were lost yourself, or you were so scared, or you felt so alone. I'm so sorry. I love you so much. I hear you. Just hearing that depth will make it come up, right? And you realize, and we're not going to get all the, I want you to not try to get all the shame out. Allow 5% of your shame to be seen, and you're a different human being, right? Just some of it. What did it feel like to be you, mom? What did it feel like to be you, brother, sister, dad? What did it feel like to be you? You must have been so scared or angry or lost or abandoned. I'm so sorry. But we're not doing I'm so sorry to empathize enough so we stay our small self. We say I'm so sorry so it goes. I'm so sorry. No one ever heard you. And you get real powers when you can do it with like the most blocked parent. You know, if you only saw the Wizard of Oz show and you never saw the scared man behind the curtain, that's a very hard thing to do. So you might have to do it for you first. I'm sorry you feel so small. I'm sorry, but I promise you, the one thing you can take in is if you're carrying shame, your parents were horrified, right? If you have shame in your body, your parents were scared. And those older generations didn't always get to show their emotions. They come out of the Great Depression and World War II and had those parents, they're full of dark secrets and pain and all the stuff that they had to hold their whole life. You're not holding it anymore. Even if you don't know what those secrets were, you're not holding it anymore. You don't have to hold it, just hear them, right? So I want to dare you to just open your heart right now and be there for the shame and go, the shame is scared. What are you scared of? And then say, and whatever it is, they say, I'm scared that I failed as a parent. I'm scared that people won't like me. And then you say to them, it's okay if people don't like you, mom. It's okay if you fail, dad. I love you even if you fail. Then that's tears. Then the shame breaks down a little bit. Is anyone feeling any tears right now? Please feel free to share in the comment if something came up. If a tear came out, that's a little shame leaving, right? Your love is a little bit louder, right, than the shame, and your love is creating a transition. So Lisa felt something, and if you need help, listen to a beautiful song. A song that helps me so much is a song by Jacob Collier called "Something Heavy." Right? It's really one of the best release songs ever. And if you, after this call, close your eyes and put on the song Something Heavy and listen, it's just like designed for releasing. And all that shame is fear. And it's a scared little kid. And our parents overall were scared little children that did not get to do the work we get to do. We get to do this work all the time. In fact, you can't flip through things without seeing the work everywhere. But that did not exist. Our parents were just watching Walter Cronkite on 3 channels and no one was doing any inner work, right? And so now we get to do that inner work for them very quickly.
Rebecca says, thank you for talking about shame tonight. I have released so much shame through past work with you and the content you create with this amazing community. Thank you for that. I feel like there's a deeper level that may be ready to be released, and I feel like I need personal help with this next level. It feels really big and heavy.
Let's bring Rebecca on. Hi, Rebecca.
Oh.
You've already done so much work with me tonight.
Oh, wow.
I'm releasing so much already.
Yeah. What's here? This is beautiful.
A lot of it right now is I really judged my mother harshly
Mm.
for not wanting to be a mother. And for things I learned about her after she died. Like,
Mm.
and I know she was so scared that my dad was going to leave. And I never understood why until I learned that she had cheated on him
Mm.
long before I was born. And she carried around that shame. But tonight I realized I was really judging her.
Mm. What if we really quickly, and feel free to keep feeling as I say this, but what if we notice what judgment is in this exact thing? Because we might discover what judgment is. It's protection from releasing, right? Like if she judges her, she doesn't have to see you. She doesn't have to see her. She doesn't have to get into understanding why, right? Why mom felt like that. And what's really interesting is this is a controversial thing to say, but you could do the research and go and find why everyone became everything. Like it goes that far. When you really investigate deep enough, you can understand everyone, right? And even though so judgment is our lack of willing to understand what it's like to be someone else. And it's protection from understanding that. That's what I'm learning right now in this. And when you got into her heart and said, "Oh, she was scared," or what was the revelation that helped you release this tonight?
Well, when you were talking about what was it like to be them, because yeah, my parents, they were born in 1930 and 1931. So yeah, they went through a lot. And then in the 50s, you got married and you had kids. But that's not what my mother wanted. But knowing that was not enough. I had to really feel it.
Mm,
And that's where like so much started coming up.
yeah.
My mother was amazing. She became an avionics engineer in the 70s.
Wow.
Like, she was amazing.
Wow.
But I never felt loved by her growing up. I did repair a lot of that as an adult before she died. But there's still so much.
This is incredible. And I would offer you what you've done is exactly what the exercise was Amber was talking about earlier. You actually left the you part of she didn't want to have kids. Do you get what I mean? In other words, that's the personal part, right? And when you
Mm,
hear that she didn't want to have kids, if you're the kid, now you're offended. But if you go, I'm just going to leave that's even about me and be what it feels like that she didn't want to have kids. And not how dare she not want to have kids. Like that's just true. She didn't want to. And then felt a massive fear because she was hanging on to that relationship by a thread if she's holding on to an affair, right?
mhm.
All of that energy. And now you're just empathetic. She had a moment, was attracted to someone else, and then all of a sudden, tell me what you feel that she felt that you didn't feel before this.
Oh gosh, there's so many things. I mean, she had her own shame around not wanting to have kids, and then the shame around having the affair. And my dad was in the Navy at the time, so he wasn't around. I'm sure she felt lonely and just needed somebody to hold her. that her little girl.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It wasn't personal.
not at all.
Right. What a gift for her right now. I bet you her true energy is totally with you right now and being with you as you release this. I really do. I bet you the true her is so free of that shame and wanting you to be free of it, you know?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. It's beautiful as you asked that question before we did the talk about shame.
I did.
And so when you came on, I could tell it was already on fire, you know?
And I almost didn't ask.
Mm.
I had to sit with it for almost 10 minutes before I pressed the send because I even had shame coming up around asking.
Oh, no. It was really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for asking. That's growth to ask, right? In fact, I had shame around asking
Mhm.
is an old pattern in itself.
Yes, it is.
So I want to really just be cheering on your courage that overrode the shame. You feel what I'm saying? That there's courage you had that
Yeah,
said, I feel that I'm going to override it and I'm going to
yeah.
do it. And your voice was necessary for the evolution of humanity.
Well, there was a part of me, and I'll just say it, my soul said, you have to do this. It's like I couldn't not do it.
Yeah. I I love that you listen to your soul. When we start listening to our soul over our fear, we win the game of life. Do you want to try something? Do you want to try something real quick? Just to even get all the cobwebs out of mom in here, get all the
Sure,
gunk out, right?
sure.
Okay. I want you for a second, if you don't mind, to do an exercise where you say, what was your mom's name, by the way?
Doris,
Okay. If it calls to you, you're going to get out of your story and be her for a second. So you're going to say, "Hi, my name's Doris and I was born in blah 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 and you know what I mean, and I was scared when this happened and I felt this way and I felt abandoned and whatever it is, and just see if we can courageously embody as good as we can what it felt like to be Doris in that time, in that relationship with you, everything that you can for just like a minute or two. So not everything. It'd take years.
yeah, yeah, we don't have that much time.
Yeah. She does it in real time. I'm like, wow, we're 80 years in. I'm like, wow, Doris, it's a full life. Yeah. Yeah. See what comes through. It'd be so fun to just take ourselves out of it. And I'm Doris and you know what I mean?
Okay, I'm Doris. I was born in 1931,
Mm,
and at a very young age, I eloped with my husband. And I think I did it because I was so scared of being abandoned by him. But he was in the Navy and was on a ship, and I was so alone, and I did feel abandoned by him.
mm,
And I felt so lonely. living by myself in Long Beach, California, where I didn't know anyone.
Mm.
And so I did. I felt seen and wanted by another man. And even though I knew it was wrong, the need for being held and loved was bigger than the shame. But then my husband came back, and I never felt from that moment that I ever deserved to have him in my life.
Mm.
And then I was pregnant with my first child. And there were questions about who was the father.
Mm.
But my husband was determined that he was the father and claimed her as his own. And even though I didn't want to have kids, I had three more, all girls. And being a stay-at-home mom was really hard for me. I wanted a career. I wanted to sing, but that didn't seem realistic. So I went to work for an aircraft company, and I thrived there. But I did not feel connected to my kids. They became my housekeepers, my little doers. And then I felt shame and guilt around that too.
Mm.
And in a deep, deep fear that just everybody's going to leave me because I don't deserve any of them.
Mm. Mm.
So it's no wonder that my mother had heart trouble
Hmm.
and multiple surgeries. Oh, I love you, Mom. I'm so sorry you had all that
Hmm.
shame and guilt.
Wow. Breathe a little white light into your body to kind of replace the areas that you just released. Breathe some here-ness, breathe some love. You can come in if you want. Look what you did. It's not just you. She also released your mom.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Oh,
It was magic, Rebecca. That's courage. That's so much courage. That's the deepest courage. That's conscious courage. Courage isn't just I'm gonna go run the marathon or go work 80
I
hours a
would
week.
never.
But I just mean how our courage is often at a frequency of do versus explore deeply, right? Our
Mhm.
courage is watch me make this happen or will myself versus listen deeper. Watch me, like your courage was a
Mhm.
different dimension of exploring what it was like to be her. And you just released so much of what you were holding, you know?
Yes.
You want to say anything? This girl here's crying. This is such a call tonight. I love this call tonight. What a
Mhm.
magical. I'm so happy we got to meet you tonight, Rebecca. What do you
yeah.
feel, babe?
Wow. I think um having you do that with your mom made me want to do it with my mom. And I
Mm,
think that our parents
Oh,
are just people that we have, maybe I'll speak for myself, you know, is somebody that I can carry so much judgment for and
mhm.
not understand, you know. And it's easier for me to uh do this with Kyle. Like, you know, we brought up this exercise as something we do together and for each other. And it's
Mhm.
easier because we love each other and we want to be together and we choose each other.
Yeah.
We don't get to choose our parents. And they don't get to choose us. So I feel like this exercise, hearing you do that, like made me think about um how helpful this would be for me to do with my own mom and my dad. And I definitely want to do that. I think it will be so healing.
Mhm.
It was just such a beautiful experience to hear you, Rebecca. And just it's like honoring the horrible things that we are judging that are really not that horrible. They're just
Mhm.
the need to connect or the need to be seen or the need to feel loved or and then what happens when we have something that we weren't wanting or planning for and how that changes the direction of our life and having so much compassion for that. It was just so beautiful to hear you have compassion and empathy for your mom because it's so easy for for me
Mhm.
and probably for you to have that, like Kyle was saying, that like it's offensive, right? It's offensive. And
Mhm.
really it's not. It's it's beautiful and it's sad and it's what it is. And I just loved hearing you just pour out
Mm-mm.
compassion and having empathy for
Thank you.
something like that. So thank you so much for that. That was so healing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hmm.
We keep having a new favorite call on infinite expansion. It's so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had so much sadness that I know I've just held for so many years coming out the last few years. But this is the biggest
Yeah.
release yet. Thank you so much.
And I want you to know, I want you to picture this. If you really like measure the David Hawkins thing, like you just released a lot of shame and the world is
Mhm.
collectively lighter right now. It's not like one 8 billionth higher. It's you're a collective that
Wow.
energy raises the collective water level that
Mm.
takes us to such a different frequency and makes it more normalized to transcend the shame our parents held. And you just added so much and took the whole crux of both parts of the call, the relationship part and the shame part, and made it one conclusion
Oh,
that
wow.
made that because you did the relationship exercise to heal mom's shame. And I would offer you when we get done too to feel free to open your heart and do that with your dad also, right?
Hmm.
Because he also has his pain and you held that. And this is a life-changing call.